I will have in terms of conversating on this with someone who understands immunology and as well the importance of maintaining one's condition. He is none other than Stephen Hotze, who I truly adore and love because at a time period where people were scandalously saying that 2.5 million Americans were going to die, Dr. Hotze and I were on the same page, although he's more medically acclimated than I am, that this was overblown, and what we needed to do was focus on keeping the country open and people healthy. Unfortunately, over 200,000 people did not have the opportunity of watching that show, and another 7 million doubted it. So without further ado, I want to introduce to some and present to others Dr. Stephen Hotze. Good evening, sir. It's a great honor and privilege to have you on the air with us tonight.
Dennis, I thank you for the opportunity to be here, and I want to congratulate you on your success on your TV channel. I'm proud of you, and thank you for being a strong conservative voice to Americans.
Well, thank you very much. Dr. Hotze, when you came on my program in March, people said that I was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, that I was completely crazy, that first and foremost, while the CDC was not saying it, we were saying that it was an airborne virus. And then number two, that a mask alone or even with gloves was not the thing that we needed to focus on. And you came to my rescue, sir, and you've been right ever since. You also sent me, and I want to show everybody right now, which I keep with me at all times. You sent me a vitamin pack called the Hotze pack, and I want to tell you, sir, this is where everybody needs to go to get your vitamins. Go to the Hotze pack. I haven't had any idea of contracting COVID. What say you, sir, in terms of the importance of vitamins and immunology?
Well, God has given us an immune system. That's why you and I are alive today. If we didn't have an immune system, we'd be overrun with virus and bacteria and never be able to counteract them. God's given an immune system. It has two functions. It has an immediate function and an innate function, that if anything enters your body that's untoward, any bacteria, virus, parasite, your body immediately reacts and sends out neutrophils, white blood cells, to attack them like soldiers. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
And usually wipes them out. If the infection takes hold, your body has a secondary backup, and that's where your lymphocytes, B lymphocytes, and even T lymphocytes begin to make antibodies. So they're like snipers. And they begin to whack those things and dispose of them. They get emptied into your system, and you either pee out the remains, or you pass them through in your stool, and they're gone. You've killed them. You've got to have a healthy immune system. I saw, interestingly enough, a cartoon online the other day, and it was a mother standing beside her daughter, and her daughter is saying, "Mama, what's all this about this is a little girl, what's all this about the immune system?" And she said, "Oh, that's just a right-wing conspiracy theory." Well, God built into our system, and I mean, give me a break. You don't hear any of these so-called health experts, which are nothing more than a bunch of health bureaucrats, talking about what you could do proactively to stay healthy. The whole goal of the Hotze Health and Wellness Center, and Hotze Vitamins, by the way, and that's Hotze, our goal is to, first and foremost, with each one of our guests, and we call our patient guests because we have a different model. We provide a hospitality environment and provide medical care within that environment, so everybody's a guest rather than a patient. We know by name and we care about them. We listen and understand and affirm them. So anyway, what we tell our guests, the most important thing you can do is twofold: strengthen your immune system and increase your underlying energy level. If you have a healthy immune system, you will be able to fight off the viruses and bacteria you come in contact during your life. By the way, every day and this, all you germaphobes are going to cringe at this, each one of us comes in contact with literally trillions, not billions, trillions with a T, of viruses and bacteria that are everywhere. They cover the couches, the floors, in your bathroom, in your bed. They're everywhere. Even in your bed, you got dust mites crawling all over your body. And in your system, you have trillions of viruses and bacteria. You got 4 pounds in the average 200-pound man. He's got 4 to 5 pounds of bacteria in his colon. We've got it in our sinuses. Mm-hmm. We got it all over our body, but our immune system holds them at bay. And so they don't cause an infection unless we get run down. Well, how do we get run down? One, we don't eat right, okay? And Americans don't eat right. They gain weight. Then they get secondary diabetes, adult onset diabetes. And that predisposes you and your immune system not to have the ability to fight off any invading organism or germ that comes in which you come in contact. You've got to have good hormonal levels. As we age, your hormones go down. Male testosterone goes down. Female hormones become declining and imbalanced. They go into the change of life and menopause. And all that has an adverse effect on the underlying energy production in our body. And because we eat junky food, we don't get the vitamins and minerals we need. And those are essential and important to strengthening your immune system and to helping your cells produce the electrical energy that keeps you from being a low voltage individual to a high voltage individual, a live wire. Now look at Trump. Mm-hmm. Now they say, well, he's got COVID now. I wish he was my patient. Wish he was my guest, because I could have him back on track in no time. Yep. This is what we've done with our, now we have a health and wellness center, so we help people get healthy and well naturally without pharmaceutical drugs. But in the case of an infection, we will use we'll use antibiotics. And it has been proven, and I've seen in our practice, for those few individuals out of the 8,000 guests that we have in our practice, we've had maybe 30 or 40 that have had symptoms consistent with COVID. Mm-hmm. Did I test them? Not a one, because I don't want them to be contact tracing them and isolating them. I didn't do that. You got symptoms of a respiratory illness, it's probably the COVID, because it has all the traits of it. Maybe they lose their taste, they get a fever, maybe a body ache. If I can get them within the first 24 or 48 hours and get them on hydroxychloroquine, Zithromax is an antibiotic. It doesn't kill the virus, but what it does do is help prevent secondary infections, which happen when people have respiratory viruses. Mm-hmm. Colds often go down into the lung and you get bronchitis. You get sinusitis, it gets in the lungs, you get bronchitis. The flu settles in the lungs, you get bronchitis oftentimes. So we give antibiotics to help prevent a secondary infection. And then we use with our guests high doses of vitamin A, about 10,000, routinely 20,000 if they're feeling sick. Big complex vitamins, high dose of vitamin C. I'm a strong advocate of Linus Pauling and his therapies dating back to 1990 when I first listened to him. Every mammal in God's creation makes vitamin C except human beings and monkeys. I don't know why God left this out of the loop, but he did. But animals make any vertebrate animal, that's an animal with a backbone, makes 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day. They double it if they're sick or under stress. That strengthens the immune system. And at high doses, it has antiviral and antibacterial properties. And it also strengthens the adrenal glands, which are important for fighting off infection and production of natural cortisol to keep your body healthy. These are important. And then I use zinc.
Yes.
60 milligrams a day. We use probiotics, magnesium, and those are the supplements that you're taking. And I recommend when our patients get sick, take 20,000 milligrams of vitamin D3 every day. I routinely have our guests take between 5 and 10,000 units every day regularly to keep their vitamin D levels at a very high level, because that strengthens the immune system. These are some natural approaches, good healthy eating habits. So eat whole foods. If it's in a packaged can or box, don't eat it. You're just getting junk. Cut your carbs down dramatically. That means your sugar and your grain products, like pizza, pasta, cookies, cakes, all the things we love to eat. The donuts before church. Honey, stop by Shipley's Donuts. Let's get some donuts before church. Then we eat donuts at coffee time at church. Then all the way home, we get some for dessert. And we're just getting ourselves high sugar levels, which causes inflammation turns to fat, depresses the immune system, leads to pre-diabetic syndrome, and it also adversely affects the immune system when you have high blood sugars. So that's
Exactly.
why people that have diabetes are prone to have more serious problems if they contract the respiratory virus, like the COVID virus or like the influenza virus. They'll get sicker. It's the people with pre-existing conditions, Kenneth, and listeners, who get sick from respiratory viruses.
Doctor,
Doctor, because their immune system's not healthy, and the pre-existing. Yes, sir.
Yes, doctor. But before we go on, because you're hitting into
Hello?
a ball field. You're hitting into a ball field. I want you to really strike on. One of the first things, however, that the left began to propagate is that the reason why Donald Trump contracted COVID is because he didn't wear a mask all the time, and he held these great large rallies. You, sir, do you believe that wearing a mask will stop an individual from contracting the virus?
Absolutely not. It won't, because the virus is a smaller particle. It's microscopic. It goes right through the holes in the mask. It goes around the mask. It goes all over.
Can you say that again?
Social distance.
Can you say that again, doctor, so that the people in the world can hear you? Can you say that one more time, doctor?
Virus.
Yes.
Okay. The virus itself is a nanoparticle. It goes right through the masks. It goes right through the masks and around the mask when you breathe. It doesn't make, and those virus particles float in the air everywhere. They don't just go 6 feet. They go all over a building. They get up in the air vents. The virus particles, we've all been exposed to this virus in America, and there's only a very insignificant number of people that have even contracted it. I think it's less than 1% of the whole population has even contracted it. And they do antibody tests, and they say, well, it's 10%. Well, 9% of those people never had any symptoms. So this social distancing is crazy. Why is it 6 feet? Why not 12 feet? Why not another room? Well, let me just say this. I've been a doctor 44 years. I did emergency room for 6 years. I've seen thousands and thousands of patients who were sick with infections, with viral and bacterial meningitis, viral and bacterial pneumonia, viral and bacterial dysentery and and intestinal problems, strep infections, staph all over the body, bed sores which were infected, pseudomonas infections in the lung, tuberculosis. I never wore a mask one day in any of my practice, whether I was in the emergency room or whether I was in my office. Now, if I'm in surgery, of course I'm going to wear a mask.
Yeah.
I don't do that to protect me from the person we're operating on. I don't want to cough or sneeze into a sterile wound because our body is covered with germs. We got billions of bacteria just in our oral pharynx, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's why you wear a mask there, to protect you from, when you speak, spittle comes out and it gets in the wound. Well, you don't want to get the wound infected. That's the reason they wear masks. They don't wear masks to try to prevent people from getting a respiratory infection. You don't want to put out anything that would get into their wound. Droplets, when you talk or speak, we all have droplets coming out. They get into the wound. And it's supposed to be a sterile wound. That's why after surgery, what we do after we've opened the belly up to repair something, say an intestinal blockage, and we have to sew it together, we literally pour in gallons of normal saline and irrigate out that valve over and over again to suck out anything that may have got into the valve that would be untoward. And then we sew them up. But even then, they've got an open wound. There's bacteria, even though it's supposed to be sterile, there's bacteria in that room, and there are viruses that can get into the system of that patient. But most patients, after a surgery, go get infected. They put them on some antibiotics, and they usually do fine. It's the rare case, but it does happen that people do get secondary infections after they have surgery. But routinely, it's in people that are unhealthy to begin with, that you're operating on, and their immune system is already compromised. So what compromises the immune system? Being overweight, pre-diabetic or diabetic syndromes, having a high blood sugar. Secondly, heart failure. thirdly, emphysema or chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, which commonly is caused by smoking. Okay?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So if a person is overweight, and if they have heart disease or if they have lung problems, and they are exposed to any type of virus, like influenza or the COVID, and they get it, they're going to have much more severe problems than someone who's healthy. Now, the president has proven himself to be extraordinarily healthy. Who do you know at half his age could do what he does? That guy's got more energy in his little finger than the rest of the population has in their whole body. He goes and blows all the time, sleeps 4 or 5 hours a night. By the way, I would recommend, if you want to keep a healthy immune system, get a good night's sleep. Get a good 7 or 8 hours. If you're older and having trouble sleeping, try melatonin. Take 1, 2, or 3 milligrams of melatonin at bedtime.
Yes.
Get yourself a good night's sleep. Exercise, too. That stimulates the immune system. So there's some things you can do very safely without seeing a doctor. You can eat healthy. So that means good oils and good fats, cheeses, eggs, butter, avocados, nuts, fish oil, olive oil, coconut oil. Eat good green vegetable. I always have a vegetable salad that's made up of spinach and broccoli, chopped up pecans, and maybe a little bit of touch of fruit in there. I'll put olive oil all over it, a little balsamic vinegar. And then I have steamed vegetables, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, asparagus, spinach, and a little bit of meat. That's what I have. And look, I haven't been sick in the 44 years, never wearing a mask. I never contracted anything from any patient that I saw, and I saw plenty of people who were deathly ill.
Yes.
I never quarantined myself. I went home and none of my family ever got sick. The idea that we need to quarantine for 14 days if we walk by somebody who had the coronavirus is simply ridiculous. We can't operate a society with a group of germaphobes. That's who's running the society, is all these epidemiologists who I think are closet or outright germaphobes. They're scared of any disease. God's given it. We walk around, we lived our whole life.
Exactly.
I mean, think about it. And if we contract something, the body builds up immunity to it, and we fight it off. Listen, when I was growing up, and I date you, I'm probably twice your age, Kenneth. In the look, I grew up in the 1950s. I was born in 50, dating myself at 70.
Yes.
And guess what? We had measles parties and chickenpox parties.
Yes.
We had 8 kids in our family, and one of the kids got it. Mom wanted to make sure everybody got it at the same time.
Exactly.
Didn't want to string this out for a month. Everybody get around little Jimmy. He's got the chickenpox. I want to make sure everybody gets it over with. That's what we did, and we all did fine. Well, why all of a sudden this one virus is the worst thing since the bubonic plague, and it's not? A month ago, the CDC released results that less than, now it's probably changed by 1,000 or 2.
Yeah.
92 or 9,600 individuals, only that many had died of COVID alone. Everybody else had some pre-existing condition. 2.6 pre-existing conditions, and they were elderly.
Yes.
And 50% of the people are in nursing homes. Now, Kenneth, let me ask you a question. Who ends up going to a nursing home?
Sickly people.
Who goes to a nursing home?
Sickly.
Why would anybody put a family member in a nursing home? Because they're sick, because they're debilitated, and you can't keep them at home. And you maybe can't afford around-the-clock care. They need that. The nursing home is where you put them at the last stage of life. That's where people go to ultimately die. The average person lives in a nursing home 2.3 years before they die. 50% of the people that have died, approximately, in some states it's much higher, were nursing home residents. And they go, oh, these people in nursing homes are dying. I say, yeah. What happens to people in nursing homes? Now, let me give you a quick statistic. In Texas, last year, 180,000 people died in 2019. Just take a wild guess of how many people were nursing home patients that died last year out of 180,000. Think it was 1,000, 5,000, 10,000? How many do you think?
I would think it was more than that, much more than that.
40,000.
Wow.
Over 1/5 of the people that died in Texas were nursing home patients. There wasn't any outcry. Nobody talked about it. What did they die of? They got respiratory illnesses. They got the flu. They got pneumonia. They had urinary tract infections, and they developed sepsis. They had bed sores that got infected. They had underlying pre-existing conditions and died. When you go to a nursing home, you're in the last stage of your life. So this whole idea, oh, everybody's dying in the nursing homes. That's unfortunately where people go to die. You know, when you put mom or dad in the nursing home, that's the last step. I mean, that's not being cavalier. That's just the nature of life. We're born, we have a nice life, we get older, we get debilitated at some point. Many people do. You don't have to if you get on our health and wellness program. Listen, I'm 70 years old. The last time I had a fever was in late in the 1990s. I got the flu. I thought I was going to die. I had a fever for a day, and I shook, rattled, and rolled, and I got over it. I hadn't had a problem since. and that's just
one of the great things about being one of the great things.
Today, I feel like I'm young enough to be playing on a high school football team again.
Yeah.
But I could keel over dead tomorrow. You know.
Exactly.
I will not have lingered, Kenneth.
Doctor, because I want to ask you two questions, and I want to give you time to answer those two questions. This is the one question. Lots of Americans today began to prepare to wave black flags and to pull down the American flag at half-mast because Donald Trump has been diagnosed with COVID-19, which means he's going to die. Can you speak to that particular person?
You're breaking up on me, and I'm sorry. Would you repeat that question?
Yes, Dr. Hotze, there are those who are in America who are saying tonight that they need to bringing down the flag at half-mast because Donald Trump is going to die from COVID-19. Can you speak to those individuals tonight in terms of what's going to happen with with Donald Trump? I'm sorry that we're breaking it. Dr. Hotze?
Well, you know, I was on a previous show on Newsmax earlier this evening. Are you reading me? Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Can you hear me clearly or not? Are we breaking up?
No, I can hear you clearly, Doctor.
In that case, we're probably going to have to sign off, and I apologize. I happen to be out in the country.
No problem,
so it's
Doctor.
Not a good connection, and sometimes this group... Pardon me?
No problem. Doctor, thank you so much.
Clearly.
I can hear you clearly.
Well,
but before you go, can you
let me say that. Can you hear me now?
Yes, can you hear me? I just want you to tell Americans.
I can't hear you, buddy.
I'm sorry. We got to get you back, Doctor.
Okay, well, let me say this.
Yes.
The Marxist, pro-communist Democrats are just...
Yes, sir.
I'm here, buddy.
Yes, go right ahead. The Marxist Democrats... You were getting ready to say...
Kenneth?
Yes, sir.
I have to do this when I'm back.
No problem.
We're going to have to do this when I'm back in Houston because we're breaking...
Okay. Dr. Hotze, we love you.
For that, sir. It's my fault.
No, Dr. Hotze, we love you. Thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Well, God bless you, Kenneth, and God bless your work.
God bless you, sir. Dr. Hotze with us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I wanted him to... He was on fire tonight. He was on fire, people. Just wanted to let you know without a shadow of a doubt. He's right. Many of you are walking around with these grimaces on your faces, thinking haphazardly that we might as well put the flag at half-mast. Donald Trump is surely going to die because everyone's dying from COVID. And the truth of the matter is, no. Doctor said it. Less than 9,000, in fact, a little over 9,000 people at last count. If you go by a new count, probably no more than about 12,000 people have actually died from COVID-19. Over 99% of Americans recover from it. The President of the United States has been flown to Walter Reed Hospital so that he might receive the medical assistance that he needs, and as well take him out of the confinement of the White House. He is not disrupted in the work that he's doing. He took his work with him. And this is one of the most amazing things. Dr. Ginsburg, the Justice of the Supreme Court, was in and out of hospitals with surgeries, and the left had no issue, no problem whatsoever. There was no concern. There was no way she can work. She can stay on the court. She's healthy. She's fine. And today, the Marxists are running around, first and foremost, gloating, which I think you have a mental illness when you do that. If someone gets sick and you're jumping up and dancing and everything. But in addition to that, this promulgation that the White House is in panic, the White House is in disarray, things are falling apart, this country's going to die, we're all going to die. These are the people that are always screaming as the plane is going down. The real logical people are saying, the emergency door is right there. You got this parachute underneath. You could just put that thing on and, or we got this little mask or whatever. The truth of the matter is, all things are good. All things are fine. He's still running the country from Walter Reed Hospital. He still has access to everybody he needs to help run this nation. And applause to Joe Biden for removing his ads, although they were ineffective to begin with, and always pointed directly back to Donald Trump's plans. But nonetheless, we're going to stand down and stand by for right now. He has a fever. He has a cough. Comes with the territory. But he has at least 8 to 12 medical doctors always at his beck and call, being tested daily. He and his wife, through herd immunity, in this particular case, got the case. They got a case. They will recover. They will do well. And God is still good. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank the good doctor. We got to have him back because Dr. Hotze is just right. Absolutely right. We've been facing herd immunity long before Dr. Fauci determined that we needed to wear a mask. And in fact, he was the guy who told us we didn't need a mask. Remember that? We don't need no stinking mask. And quite frankly, Dr. Hotze and all other scientists will tell you, it makes no difference you wearing the mask. It just makes you feel good. And I'm going to try to get Dr. Hotze back so I can talk with him about the religion of hockey stick science and witchcraft medicine. They've created an entire religion behind it. And the evangelicals of the mask and social distancing groups within those religions have been pacing about, preaching on the streets. I told you he should have wore a mask. I told you he should have wore a mask. And the truth of the matter is, it is a nanoparticle. It will go right through your mask. Period. What really prevents you from coming down with COVID is not running the country 20 out of 24 hours and helping to deal with the world 20 out of 24 hours of the day, 7 days a week. No, what makes you healthy is getting a balanced diet, having your vitamins on a daily basis, sleeping at least 8 hours if you can, and making sure that you exercise and in good shape. Thank the Lord that Mrs. Biggs and I have not contracted the virus. And we've been in various situations where it's a possibility. In fact, when you walk out of the house in the morning, if you're in the house this morning, it doesn't matter. The virus is about you. What must you do? Prevent, prevent, prevent. And when you can no longer prevent, attack, attack, attack. Do those things which are necessary for you to fight. If you're in good shape, good heart, no concerns about diabetes, you're going to be in a very good shape in terms of fighting off COVID. 99.9% of Americans have actually recovered from COVID. When you look at the number, 330 million Americans and 200,000 deaths, while we regretfully have to announce that the tragedy that you have so many deaths in a year, when you look at the number, it's infinitesimal. Infinitesimal. There you go. Infinitesimal. It's small. Very small. Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump will be just fine. And we will be right back right after this message.